Overall root causes of significant findings. Department's processes from receipt of the application to commencement of the construction stage are exceptionally long, indicating that control measures have to be improved or developed to expedite these processes. A lack of proper coordination between the department and the municipalities to ensure timely completion of the houses within the defined contractual period. Our key recommendations and commitments: management should strengthen their controls in the application of critical project management techniques to ensure service delivery of housing is efficient to avoid preventable delays. The project management approach that is used should factor in critical milestones such as contractual deliverables, timelines, quality, and reporting. Coordinated roles between the department and the municipality should be strengthened and contracted on, clearly indicating roles and responsibilities with milestones and timelines. Penalty clauses should be included in these agreements and enforced when timelines are not met. Thank you, Honourable Chair. That's the end of my presentation.
Thanks, Prashni. Colleagues, do you want to raise any issues of clarity, etc. now? Or do you want to take the second presentation on public works and then we'll deal with both? I'll be guided by you. We have 25 minutes until we meet the department. Okay.
I will suggest we deal with both.
Thanks, Honourable Kulu. Then let's hand over to the presentation on public works, please. Who is doing that?
Greetings, Chair. Greetings, honourable members and members of the Audit Risk Committee. Colleen will be taking us through the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, then once both these presentations are done, we'll ask for provincial audit and risk to add in on each of the departments and then open for questions. Colleen?
Thank you, Honourable Chair, honourable members. Thank you. I'm going to be assisted by my managers. I wasn't yet on site for the audit of the 2022-23 financial statements. I was appointed from the 1st of August, but I will be handing over to my managers, Tuba and George, to take you through some of the presentation. Prashni did cover these slides with you on the AGSA Culture Shift 2030. And I think really for public works, you act in various capacities, or the department acts in various capacities, both as an implementing agent on behalf of user departments, principal departments, as well as providing accommodation for public sector. So we need to make sure that this is done in an efficient and effective way in order to minimize wastage and also ensure that projects are delivered timeously. So that's really, where we want to shift public works to. Sorry, there. And then the accountability ecosystem, Prashni did go through this with you. So with regards to public works, what we noted was the accounting officer, together with senior management, did not exercise adequate oversight and monitoring controls to confirm that consequence management is implemented in a timely manner. Their controls are strictly adhered to in the SEM system to ensure procurement processes are finalized before payment are made, and that standard operating procedures and frameworks are adhered to in the reporting of performance information. The audit committee performed their duties as they did with regards to human settlements, and then with regards to internal audit. At this stage, we used the work of internal audit for risk identification, but it was not possible to use their work for the purposes of modifying the nature and timing or reducing the extent of our audit procedures, as the internal audit reports do not cover the entire financial year being audited, and items as presented and disclosed in annual financial statements. So that's with regards to the accountability ecosystem. Forgive me if I'm not reading through everything to you. I'll now hand over to George, who will take you through financial management and compliance. George.
Thank you, Colleen. Greetings, everybody. On the first slide, we'll see that we have issues with procurement and contract management, expenditure management, consequence management, and strategic and performance management. On the good side, the annual financial statements this year were prepared with no material adjustments being required. Procurement and contract management deals mainly with leases that are not approved in a timely manner, so we have payments made on expired leases. Expenditure management was, we had a few issues with, let me just, sorry, Chair, just expenditure management. That was the irregular expenditure that was not prevented in the current financial year. They did reduce the expenditure management to a greater degree. Consequence management was the investigations that were performed to see if anybody was liable. And then strategic performance management, again, that we queried, and that some of the portfolio of evidence was not up to standard. Next, Colleen. There, as you can see from this slide, there's been a stagnation in the audit outcomes, with the department receiving an unqualified audit opinion with findings. There were material non-compliance findings due to a lack of adequate measures taken to prevent the reoccurrence of these findings. There was insufficient monitoring and implementation of the audit action plan on an ongoing basis, and to hold the responsible accountable for unsatisfactory response in the compliance areas, as evidenced by repeat findings in some matters. As you can see, as I indicated, the financial statements were submitted to us for auditing on 31st of May 2023. We did not identify any material misstatements in the financial statements submitted for auditing. Chair, and then with financial health, more than 10% of the debt estimated as irrecoverable. This relates to a lot of the departments that are not paying the Department of Public Works for projects undertaken on their behalf. And this is then, you can see, it leads to also that the department sometimes battles to pay their creditors within 30 days. And impact, Chair and members of the committee, is that there's a budget constraints as well at the department with respect to rates that are not, that some of the rates were not paid at year end. I think there was 170 million rates not paid due to budget constraints. And as you can see as well, non-timely payment by client departments in respect of projects and lease payments incurred on behalf has resulted in a large overdraft balance at year end. This slide just highlights what I have highlighted before. Sorry, Colleen, one down. Conflict of interest related to some members of DPW that were doing additional remunerative work that hadn't been approved for. Non-compliance with bidding processes. There was one process where the functionality points were incorrectly awarded, but when we followed up, it would not have affected the outcome of the audit. And then contract management relates to, but mainly to leases, where leases are not being renewed in a timely manner, or payments are made on expired leases. In the current financial year, we can see that irregular expenditure has been pretty well monitored by the department. It's come down from 274 million in the prior year to 43 million in the current year. Again, it's all mainly relating to leases, but they have started to get the lease process into a better state, where they have a system now that they are using to monitor leases. Also, without Treasury being involved in the approving of leases, it has sped up to a degree the new lease approving by the department. Tuba.
Morning. Could you please go to the next slide, Colleen? I'll be going through the performance information. With regards to the performance and planning and the findings that we identified there, the finding that we identified was that specific information systems were not implemented to enable the monitoring and progress made towards achieving of targets, core objectives, and service delivery as required by Public Service Regulation 251E. This was mainly due to the department, in terms of the APR that was submitted, the APR and the POEs that were submitted was not agreeing. So there was a variety of adjustments that needed to be made. The impact of those incorrect APRs that were given to us at the beginning of the audits was that the misstatements in the performance information hindered the users from being able to adequately assess the department's performance against the planned targets, and also creates a misleading picture when incorrect performance is reported. And also when an adjusted APR is submitted, we need to reperform the audit procedures, which has a material impact on the audit fees. Can you go to the next slide? In terms of service delivery indicators not achieved, on program 2, property management, the department achieved 70% of their targets, but 99.87% of their budget was spent. The targets that were not achieved were the number of conditional assessments finalized on state-owned buildings, the entering into formal agreements with financial institutions to assist in targeted landlords by the 31st of March 2023, and the number of acquired properties. Can you go to the next slide? On program 3, provision for buildings and infrastructure, 35% of the targets was achieved, and 100% of the budget was spent. The targets that were not achieved are listed below. I'll take them as already being read, but they're listed below. It's the EPWP work opportunities created, and projects awarded to military veterans, projects awarded to designated groups, projects awarded to women-owned companies, projects awarded to youth and youth-owned companies, projects awarded to disabled people, establishment of functional SIDA by the end of June. Next, please. And also the number of schools that were refurbished, the number of clinics that were refurbished, the number of hospitals that were refurbished, and the number of buildings or facilities that were refurbished. Also, another finding that we had is on the completeness of indicators. We noted that the departments did not have indicators that were relating to the timeless conclusion of leases on behalf of client departments. Can we go through to the next slide, please? I'll hand over back to George.
Thank you. We then did our performance auditors that were working with us during the audit then did follow-ups of 2 projects that were undertaken by the department. One of them was the conversion of a carpenter shop into offices to be used in the Vryheid District Municipality. There was a need. Sorry.
You what?
Mr. Duma. Sorry, Mr. Duma, you coming through? There was a need for an upgrade and to provide additional office space to accommodate the department staff at the Vryheid District office, and Zipumeli Trading Company was appointed to construct the Vryheid office at a cost of 9 million rand. You can see that the contract period was 25 November 2019 to 25 November 2020, the initial period. Practical completion was achieved on 7th of December 2021. However, the project has still not been finalized. You'll see on the left-hand side, the impact is that the infrastructure is not being utilized for its intended purposes, even though it is ready for use and had a huge budget to spend. Dereliction of duties by the project manager and ensuring that the contractor is held liable as per the clauses set out in the JBCC. The key observations by our team was the project had 4 approved extensions of time, with the most lengthy claim being the country being on lockdown due to COVID-19, where there's a 5-month delay. This moved the project from being a 12-month project to a project that still remains incomplete 27 months later, 25 November 2020 to 4 April 2023, the original completion date to the date of site visit. Furthermore, 3 of the 4 approved extension of times were approved on the same date, 12 May 2022, even though the claims were for different monthly months or years, ranging from 2019 to 2020, taking the department as long as 2 years to approve an extension of time. It was also noted that during the site visit on 4 April, that the contractor was still on site fixing up snags since 7th of December 2021, when practical completion was achieved, which supersedes the 90-day defects liability period and the 10-day period prior to the defects liability period, as indicated in the JBCC. Furthermore, the project manager did not monitor the project efficiently to ensure that the contractor abides by the clauses set out in the signed JBCC. The delay in rectifying the snags could result in further cost and deterioration of the infrastructure if not intended to. Also, in IT infrastructure issues, during the audit, it was noted that the district office did not have a generator or uninterrupted power supply, and as a result, the computers and telephone lines are not functioning during load shedding and regular power outages that will impact staff downtime. The project manager has indicated there was no budget for the procurement of generators. The next one, Colleen. The next one is the Alembe construction, the Alembe district office. Temani Management Consulting was appointed on 17 December 2017 at a value of 43 million to undertake the construction of new offices for Alembe Public Works with a contract period of 18 months. The site was handed over on the 9th of February 2018. The original completion date was 8 August 2019. As we can see in the impact, significant delays in acting on poor performance management by management, which is indicative of poor contract management and inadequate stakeholder identification and engagement. As we can see, it was noted as per the motivation for termination letter provided during the audit that at the time of the termination of the contract with the management consultant, the contractual time period had lapsed by 133%, even though the percentage of work done was only 20%. From the application dated 13 November 2019 by DPW for approval to cancel the contract of Temani, it is stated that at all site meetings, the contractor was made aware of the poor progress. However, although the site was handed over to Temani Management Consulting 9 February, it was only on 8 October 2018 when the first letter of poor performance was sent to the contractor. Audit could not ascertain why the first letter of poor performance was only sent to the contractor on 8 October 2018, even though there is evidence that 20% of the work completed by the termination date, that the issue of poor performance could have been identified and addressed at a much earlier stage in the project. Uba?
Can you please go to the next slide, Colleen? I'll be going through the MIs that we had identified. On the MIs that have already been identified on public works, we've identified one material irregularity relating to the purchases of unutilized licenses for a system that is still under development, which is the Archibus system. A notification was already issued, and we also issued further actions that the departments needed to take to implement on the 6th of July 2023. With regards to, and we needed to have a response with regards to them in terms of the progress as of the 6th of October. As of now, we have not received any evidence that the department has provided us with the response in terms of the progress of implementing the recommendations that we've communicated to them on the 6th of July 2023. Can you go to the next slide? The overall observations of the MI process. The Office of the Premier is conducting an investigation on the alleged fraud and corruption on the procurement of the Archibus system, and the recommendations to the Executive Authority are to monitor the implementation of the remedial actions taken by the accounting officer to address the MI. I think with regards to these to those recommendations, that's what we are waiting for now in terms of the progress thereof that we still haven't received from the department. Thank you. I'll hand over back to you, Colleen.
Colleen?
Colleen, I think you're muted.
Must have muted myself.
Okay, proceed.
Sure. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking us through that presentation. So the root causes, recommendations and commitments. Overall root causes of significant findings, SCM policies and procedures not strictly applied to ensure that leases are approved in a timely manner, resulting in irregular expenditure being reflected in the books of the department. Standard operating procedures not strictly implemented and adhered to, resulting in material misstatements in the draft annual report submitted, and audit action plans not fully implemented as reoccurring issues were noted during the audit. Key recommendations to and commitments by accounting officers, filling of vacant critical posts, more stringent monitoring of the audit improvement action plan. And then the prior year commitment by executive authority was looking into matters of resolving issues with leases, especially on expired leases, train and appoint more resources, committed to work with the staff on ensuring that all the matters that are basic and raised by the AG are resolved and ensure consequence management. So that brings us to the end of our presentation. We'll hand back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me just call on the Provincial Audit and Risk Committee to make their inputs on both departments, and then we'll hand over to members for their questions of clarity. Other issues obviously will be raised by the with the departments. Who from Provincial Audit and Risk will give us an input?
Chair, thanks. Good morning to you, Chair. Morning to members. Thanks so much for the opportunity. I think Mike is also in the meeting. As the Chair will add, the big issue when it comes to Department of Human Settlement is more about vacancies. That the organogram is there, but has not been approved by the Minister to ensure that at least the department is able to fulfill its task. That's a big issue when it comes to Department of Human Settlement. Otherwise, Department of Public Works, we have not identified much except that the performance, as indicated, the APR was not audited, and it's a trend that we have, that each time we receive the reports, our internal auditors are auditing only the Fs, not the APR. It's due to the fact that we normally receive them late, but as a committee we are concerned about that at least maybe the departments must submit on time all the documents that are going to be submitted to AG, so that at least we'd have a chance to audit even the APR. But during the last financial year reporting, we only looked at the Fs, so we acknowledge that as identified by AG. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mike Tar.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, just to confirm some of the issues which our Chair has raised. But Chair, let me just focus on one thing, and that relates to contracts, Chair. Now, this issue of contracts is something...
sorry, Mike, which department are you referring to?
It refers to actually both at the moment, Chair, on
Okay.
contracts.
All right.
It's just that, Chair, you know, normally a contract is first of all a technical evaluation to ensure that the tenderers are competent to do the job, and after that then there is some sort of financial valuation. And Chair, that seems to be sort of very much lacking, especially on the technical side. And this brings me to the issue which our Chair, Mr. Zulu, raised earlier, and it relates to staff and staff vacancies, especially in the Department of Works, where there seems to be, Chair, a lack of competent professional technical staff who can evaluate projects, can sign off on projects, and, you know, make sure they're actually properly done. And then, Chair, the other thing is the question of leases. This now is Department of Works, where departments are not renewing their leases in time, they're not advising the Department of Works in time. And as a consequence, as we've seen in the financials, there's a huge list of debtors of departments who haven't actually paid their leases. And something needs to be done there as well, Chair. But again, this crops up year after year and nothing happens. So, Chair, the real issues, I think, for both departments were the staff. Look at the Department of Human Settlements, oversight of housing projects. It doesn't seem to happen. These things get delayed year after year after year as the reports go there. And then I would think that the same applies in Department of Works, and it relates to technically qualified staff. It would be nice to get put these things aside and get them resolved once and for all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can I have a show, colleagues, a show of hands? Can I just see if you have any questions of clarity? I think the issues are pretty straightforward. Although both departments have received unqualified audits, the findings are quite serious. These issues around procurement and contract management seem to be something that's bedeviling us. The issue of the financial sustainability, the big overdraft of public works, is a source of concern. And there are obviously various other issues about how contractors are appointed, etc. Mr. Zulu has raised the issue of vacancies and also the assessment, as Mr. Tha has raised, about suitability for these contracts, etc. There's been a lot of money wasted as well, where contractors have defaulted. I think Public Works has lost 55 million on just one contract. So, can I have a show of hands? We have just 10 minutes, colleagues. I must apologize. We are due to meet the department at 10. Kabo, which department are we meeting first? Public Works, I think. Or is it Human Settlements?
No, actually, ma'am, it's half 10.
Okay, so we've got a bit of
10. We have 30 minutes to, yes, yeah.
Yes, okay, fine.
All right.
I'm not seeing any takers. Okay, then I think, colleagues, you can go through the reports that the AG has tabled. They have been emailed to you, and we'll meet the department at 10:30. Okay? I'm not closing the discussion, but I don't see any hands. Okay, so we'll rejoin at 10:30. You can go and have your tea or coffee or whatever you want now in preparation. Thank you.
Hey.
Honorable Kaula, you are misbehaving again, but it's fine.
I know, it's Tulu. It's not me, it's Tulu.
Oh, it's Tulu. Okay, fine.
That Thokoza word does not exist in Tulu's house.
Yeah, it's Tulu. Awu, amagama amakhulu kangaka. Umcindezeli ekhaya.
La kami nje Thokoza wathi Thokoza asithokozi la siyabonga siyajabula qha close shops.
Thokoza gogo.
you.